Remember, money triggers people to, no, I can't afford it. That's like the first thing. So if you take it at face value, you're never going to get anywhere. So that's number one, is I can't afford it. Number two is I have to ask mine. So one of the things that I've learned over the years is early on in my exploratory session with someone, or my intro session or discovery session, I find out who the decision maker is. The reason I had to do that before was because I was doing parent coaching, right? And if I was talking to mom, she would always say, I have to ask my husband because it was for the kids, right? So I would try to get them both on the call for the intro session so that I could have the decision makers on the call together. So if you're offering your services to a partnership, you don't want to make your offer to just one person, because then they're going to tell what they heard to that person. You won't get it handled that day, and it will take a really long time to do it, and you probably won't. That person will not be able to replicate what happened on the call to make their partner excited enough to go along and spend the money that you asked them to spend. So one of my favorite things to say is, who makes the decisions in your business? And well, I make the decisions. I'm the CEO. And who pays the bills in your business? I pay the bills in my business. Who decides what your budget is? I decide what my budget is. So I know all that ahead of time. So later, when I say, you want to go, let's do it, I have to ask I'm curious, because when we spoke, about 20 minutes ago, you told me that you make all the decisions. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're going to ask? And then they're like, yeah, caught me, like, right, you got it, right? Because I already knew. And because they know that they told me that, so then they can't use that one to say, I don't want to work with you. So, or they're fearful. So you can probably diffuse that one. And, sometimes I tell the story too. And if you've ever had this story happen to you, you can use it, or you want to borrow mine, you can. But when I first signed up with my first coach, he made me an offer. And I thought did you ever feel gut punched? Do you know what I mean? When you heard the amount of money it was, and you really, 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 really wanted it, but it was just like you had never parted with that kind of money before, and it felt like something was like off about it, not right. So I didn't have a concept that coaching could cost that kind of money. And this was in 2005, long time ago. Now I know what people charge. And I said, I can't do that. That's my mortgage payment. And it was totally emotional. So he quickly got off. He didn't ask me any questions about it, which was interesting, knowing what I know now. And then I went into the kitchen and I said to my husband, I said, I just got off with this crazy guy who wants to coach me, and this is how much he wants, and to help me build this business. And my husband looked at me and he said, well, Susan, what are you going to do if you don't go work with him? And I was like, shoot. So I went back to the phone and I called him up and I said, let's go. And then I was still trying to talk myself out of it. That night I went to dinner at my parents', and my father's very conservative about spending money. Very. I mean, my parents were so careful their whole lives with how they did it. Very, in a sense, never charged anything, really just paid with what they had. And I went to my dad and I said, hey, Dad, I just signed up with this business coach who's going to help me with my business. And it's going to cost whatever, $15,000 or $20,000. And my dad said, that's a really good idea. congratulations. I was like, busted. So everywhere I turned, the people in my life told me, what are you going to do if you don't do that? You're just going to spin. You need the help. And they were right. You know, within that year, I started working with him. And by the third month, I was making $10,000 a month as a parenting coach. You know, I never would have done that, and certainly would not be here talking to you today if I didn't have that first coaching experience that I had. So I have been there. I have to ask my husband or no or whatever. But then I realized, so now a great question for you to ask someone is, if we don't work together, what's your plan? If we don't work together, where will your business be 12 months from now? If we don't work together, what's going to change in the next 6 to 12 months? But again, having this handled before or diffused before gives you permission to come back and put it back in front of them and say, well, hey, you told me that you make the decisions in your business. I'm curious to why you want to check it out with people. So that's number 2. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe.